Hello everyone, welcome back to Jamie Talks Jira. It's a new month and we're going to bring things back to the namesake of this channel, and we will actually talk about Jira today. This week we are going to cover some tips and tricks for JQL searching. I'm not going to do an extensive list as I could be talking for hours, but we're going to do a few use cases that are from actual users that I support. In addition to this will not be a beginner's guide to JQL, so I will be making some assumptions about the level of knowledge that you will have for some of the topics I'm going to be discussing. Without further ado, let's dive in. Okay, so I know that I said this wasn't going to be a beginner's course, but I still want to guide you to that stuff if that's what you need. First up, I would recommend going to the documentation. This link, as well as the next thing I will talk about, will both be in the description. And this is Atlassian's documentation on advanced searching. This has a lot of the keywords that you can use when using a JQL search, and it's super helpful for getting you familiar with the what is possible with JQL, so that you know what you can and cannot use. In addition to that, there's also a free university course. I know this is JQL in service management, but they do a great job of doing a beginner's section on how to use JQL before they get into the service desk specific functions. It's a free course, so it's definitely worth checking out. Both of those will give you a good solid foundation on how to use JQL before you ever get to some of the scenarios I'm going to be talking about today. With that, let's switch over to our issue view. So obviously we're going to be doing an advanced search today. And the first thing I want to talk about doesn't have anything to do with searching itself per se. What I'd like to mention as just my soapbox rant for today is making your issues more discoverable. So by that I mean take advantage of the fields that you have on your issues to fill them out completely, so that you can use them for filtering later to find your issues. My rule has always been that if I can't find an issue that I have created 6 months in the future, then I shouldn't expect anyone else to be able to find it either. So right off the bat, let's look at things like the summary. This thing that says web page error is a terrible summary because it's so vague. It could be reported many times, and it could cover a multitude of different problems. What would make this a little bit better, just with a minor change, is switching it to something like 403 code when trying to log in to a website. This is just a minor change, but this tells us that we are getting a 403 code and where we're getting that error when trying to log in. That is enough just to give a bit more context on what's happening here. And that can make the difference when it comes to trying to find this later. In addition, things like labels and the priority field can definitely help you further filter out the issues that you need to find what you're looking for. Highly recommend filling them in, and that's my soapbox rant for this video. Next up, if you aren't familiar with the text keyword, this is something that allows you to search through any text-based field looking for a specific term. So we can put in the word test, we can put in website, and what we're going to see is that no issues show up because it's looking for those words in any text field within the issues. If I bring this back to just test, well, you'll see that, we have this is our test issue, because that totally meets that. But the point is that this text keyword is searching the summary, it's searching the description, it's searching all custom text-based fields, so, single and multi-line paragraph, and I think it's the single line fields. We're searching all of those fields with one keyword, as opposed to having to enter in the summary is this and the description is this. This just makes it easier for you to type and a little bit more readable for anyone who is trying to figure out how you put this JQL together. Related to that, we're going to talk about equals versus in. So by that, I mean, let's start with a status, and we're going to go with our status equals done. Easy enough. So now that we have a status equals done, that only gave us our one issue. So we're going to do an and we're going to do status, or sorry, not and, because and will eliminate things. We're going to do an or. Status equals backlog, I believe, is what my other one is currently in. And there we go. So we have brought in both issues, but we've had to put status in there twice. This is not only more challenging for people to read, it's also less performant because we're now executing 2 search parameters there. What's more performant and easier for people to read is using the keyword in. And when you're using the keyword in, you can use parentheses and commas to comma separate the list of statuses that you would like to search for. This will automatically do an or-based search for all of the items that are in the parentheses, but it does it in a much performant way, or a much more performant way. So this gets us the same results with less typing, less visual clutter, and it actually is a more performant search to run. Next up, and this is one of those things that you may or may not run into, I'm going to talk about the curse with labels. I know that there are people out there that probably hate labels because of the case-sensitive nature of them and the fact that people can just create them on the fly and it can make a lot of a mess in some issues. And I also know that there are people who love it for the exact same reason. The one, we'll call it a pitfall, I want to warn you about is the way in which searching for labels works. So you will notice I have a label on my one issue, but I don't have it on the other one. So I am going to search for issues that do not have the label something on them. Now, you would think that by doing this, I should get an issue because I have an issue that does not have the something label on it. The pitfall here is that the way that this specific one works is it is still looking for only issues with labels, but that label is not something. So, in order to get around this, you are also going to have to add an and that labels, sorry, not an and, an or. Labels is empty. So what this is going to do is this is going to look for anything where the label's not something, or there are no labels on the issues at all. That's just one of those pitfall things that people can run into, that they are looking for not that label and they are expecting results and not seeing them, and this is usually the culprit for that. This is just one of those things to watch out for. The last thing I'm going to bring up for this one in particular is some historical searching. You may or may not use these regularly, but I have encountered them a couple of times, and I thought it's worth just pointing out some of the things that you can do with some of the historical searches. So for instance, we can put in, say, status, and status was, meaning that at some point in time it was in the backlog stake. And then we can do that, and you'll see that yes, both of these issues were at one point in the backlog stake, or the backlog state. I've got stake on the brain apparently. And then you can also do things like that it was in the backlog stake before, and we'll put in, start of month. Since these ones have been created since I set up this instance, these ones have absolutely been around since before the start of month. In addition to that, one of the other things that you can do is changed. And changed is a cool one because you can put in changed from backlog to, and then in progress. It's going to want me to... There we go. In progress. And then we will put during. And what during allows us to do is a combination of dates. So our starting date and our ending date. And what this will do is we're going to look for the status where the status had changed from the backlog state to the in progress state during the time period of the start of the week and now. I'm not going to run that because it's not going to return anything because I haven't set up a use case for that. But this is just one of those cool things of how detailed you can get when you're doing some historical searching for reporting purposes. I hope you found this video useful, and if there is a scenario in JQL searching that you would like to see me cover, please leave it in the comments below, or feel free to message me at JimmyTalksJira on Twitter. I am more than happy to do another round of this with more use cases in the future. If you enjoyed this, please consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel for more videos like this in the future. And thanks for stopping by.